Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Courtside with Beilinson Tennis, part of the Tennis Channel Podcast Network. We have with us today fourth-year men's head coach of the Wichita State Shockers, Coach Danny Bryan. Coach Bryan played his collegiate tennis at LSU, where he ranks among LSU's all-time leaders in wins, and tennis runs deep in his family, as his father and three uncles played collegiate tennis, while his grandfather played professionally. Currently, Coach Bryan is doing a great job leading the Wichita State squad to success. We are happy to have him on. So without further ado, please welcome to the pod, Coach Danny Bryan. Coach, thanks for spending some time today and walking us through your journey.
Yeah, David, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, I ask the same question to every recent guest I have because it's just such a unique time right now with the coronavirus and everything. How are you holding up? How's your family holding up? How's the team holding up?
Yeah, as you said, it's been a crazy few months. Now things have gotten a lot better for us. We've been fortunate since June 1st. We've actually been able to practice with the guys that have been on campus that stayed. So we have four guys here now that are, we're able to work with them on a voluntary basis, and it's been really good. And the last 3 months has been interesting, to say the least. And it's been a good time to reflect, and I think our team's in a really motivated right now. I think being away from tennis for so long is we've all kind of looked at things. We're all looking at things a little bit differently and understand how fortunate we are to play, and when we are able to. So it's good.
For sure. And I know it must feel good to see some of the guys back because we've all just been so isolated for so long. So
it's been great. I mean, it's nice to be busy. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
I have a lot going on now, which is great.
So as I stated in my intro, tennis runs deep in your family. So I guess it was kind of implied that you'll be playing the sport as well. So why don't you walk us through how you got started in the sport, and did you play any other sports growing up?
Okay. Yeah. So tennis is definitely in the family. My grandfather on my father's side was a tennis coach and still is. He's getting up there. I'm not sure exactly what his age is, but he's still out there, probably close to 80. And then my dad had three brothers. There's four boys, and all of them played tennis. All of them played Division I. And so let's see, one of them ended up, he was playing German league and fell in love and has lived in Germany pretty much since I've been born, but he's a tennis coach there. And then my dad was a tennis coach. One of my other uncles is also a tennis coach. And then there's one oddball who's a lawyer. So, I was always around tennis. My sister is 2 years older, and, she played tennis at Ohio State. And so, my dad had a junior program with my grandfather, and, I just would go out there. I think it was 2 hours a day, 4 to 6. And that's basically how I started playing. I also played baseball until I was 10, I think, is when I kind of decided I was just going to try to pick one sport. And I always enjoy playing lots of other sports, and I still do. And as a kid, I would always go play with friends, play basketball, baseball, football, everything. But tennis, ultimately, from about 10, was the only one I took very seriously.
Wow, that's pretty early to specialize in that, but that's cool. So obviously you had a good junior career because obviously we saw where you played collegiately. Talk about some of your big junior accomplishments.
Yeah, so I did. Especially nowadays, I would say I kind of specialized pretty early, and so I had success right away. I think I was just probably playing more than everyone else, or most people. And in the 12s, I don't think there was actually a 12s national ranking at the time. There was a thing called Challenge Cup, and I got selected in that. And I think it ultimately, probably, it's safe to say I was top 16 or so in the country in the 12s, and then I was top 5 in the country in the 14s and 16s, in singles. And then 18s, I actually left to go to college when I was 17. So I stopped playing juniors, and I have a December birthday, so I still had one more year left. So I might have been in, top 40 that year,
Okay.
the year before. So, I had a pretty good junior career.
So there are some instances where someone can go away because they have an early they go to college early and they can come back and still play the 18s. I'm not sure if you did
I,
that.
I didn't do that. I chose to, and in a way, I guess I kind of regret it, or I would like to. I don't know if I regret it, but I was playing some futures. I went to Canada with a few of my teammates and did that whole deal instead. And I think I was just ready to move on from juniors. And to be honest, the only reason why I think I would go back to play Kalamazoo if I had a chance to win it, and I probably didn't think I did at the time.
Got it. So we're going to get to your fantastic career at LSU, but you were recruited by some other really good schools. Talk about those schools that you took your visits on, and at the end of the day, ultimately, why did LSU win out?
Okay, so yeah, I was fortunate. I got recruited. So my sister went to Ohio State in 2001, so she's 2 years ahead of me. And then uh, I had been up there a few times, and it was right when Coach Tucker was starting off there. So I took a visit to Ohio State, and I took a visit to Illinois, and that was when Craig Tiley was there, and they were maybe number 2 in the country. That was a really cool experience. And then I also took a visit to the University of Kentucky with Coach Emery, and they had a really good team. I think they were just coming off. I think Jesse Witten had just
Mhm.
either won NCAAs or got to the finals, and it was a young team, and they were going to be really good for a while. So um, ultimately, my last visit was LSU. I didn't um, grow up being a huge LSU fan at all. Both of my parents went to USL, which is now ULL, and it wasn't that we hated LSU or anything. It just wasn't something that, like everyone else in Louisiana, where we watched every football game. We're just diehard fans. So actually, every visit I went on, I thought the next day that I was going to go to that school. And my parents just kind of told me to be patient and kind of go through the whole process. And LSU ended up being my last visit.
The last one.
So it was
Last
my
one
last
often gets
one.
the advantage.
Yeah. Sometimes it works that way. Sometimes you want to be first. But yeah,
Yeah.
for me, it was definitely the last one. And, you know, they were all the schools are so great. I would have, had a great time in any of them and had a great experience. I'm 100% positive. But I just feel like being close to home. I had a lot of family in Louisiana, and that was the probably the deciding factor. I would say it's just the fact that my parents and everyone could watch my career, watch our home, come to our matches and whatnot, and be a part of that.
Understood. And I mean, you had quite a career. You were a double, just a few accomplishments: doubles All American, SEC indoor champ, NCAA quarterfinalist, again, plus many more. Talk about some of the highs, maybe even some of the lows, some of your teammates. Talk about a little bit of your time there.
Yeah. So, like I said, when I went to school at 17, and I do think I was pretty mature for my age, but just I was 6'4", and I was 165 my freshman year. At my first physical, that's what I weighed, and I I think I struggled a little bit at first. Just I was still needing to fill into my body.
Mhm.
Uh, I was a stick, and I remember that first semester. I think I ended up getting to about 185. I was they put me in the weight room a lot, and so that combined with the fact that our team was really good, I was in and out the lineup the first year, which was tough, to be honest. I struggled with it. I felt like I could have been in the lineup for one, but looking back on it now, I mean, it wasn't like a crazy decision. It was just, I believed in myself. But that whole situation was tough. But I think I learned a lot from it. I also had a couple of instances where I did get in the lineup and didn't perform, and I was, one time I know that I bring up a lot to our team is we were playing Texas A&M, who were they were top 10. We were probably top 15 at the time, and the match came down in doubles to my partner's court, and we were up 7-2, and we lost, and it was all my fault. Like, I just completely tightened up, and I didn't see the lineup for a long time after that. But it was such like a turning point for me, because I really started to take ownership of my game, and I needed to get better in certain areas, so I could, and really, when it got to those situations, I could believe in myself, and get the job done. And looking back, I think that was really a turning point for me, because I was always working pretty hard, but I think I was a little bit more intentional about practice and what I needed to do to feel comfortable on the court and to be able to have success.
How often do you hear something like that where it's a tough match, it doesn't go your way, and that is the turning point, and sometimes the launching pad for a player's success?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think once you just have a decision to make, once that happens, you're either just gonna give up or not, or kind of act, oh, I didn't get tight, and I was like, it was so bad that, like, there was nothing I could say, and I was like, okay, I'm never letting that happen again.
Yeah, and I mean, through that experience, you can use that now as a coach to your kids, because it's going to happen to everyone. You play this game long enough,
Mhm.
and you play it at the level where you're recruiting the kids are playing it. They're all going to have tough losses, and it's how they choose to respond. 100%.
For sure.
So, like I said, I mean, you obviously use that to kind of launch your collegiate career going forward. You had great success. You did play on the pro tour for like a really short time, I think, and then you got back into coaching pretty quick at LSU, your alma mater.
Correct. So after my senior year, I think maybe at that point I had 18 hours left to graduate. After my senior, I finished my eligibility. So in May, um, I decided to go to summer school right away, and I think I knocked out maybe 6 hours. And I was definitely planning on going to play full time after that. And so I did. I think I started in August. Once summer school was out, I started playing some. I had more success, and my senior year I started getting pretty good at singles. Like, I was having, I think I maybe got up to like 30 in the country in singles, but in doubles I'd had a lot of success. My partner and I, Colt Gaston, we finished the year I think 3 in the country. So I felt that if I was going to make a living playing tennis, it was you know more likely to be in doubles. So that was kind of my thought process going out to play. And um, I did have some success in doubles in a short period of time. I ended up, in December of that year, I decided that, I always knew in the back of my head that I wanted to get into coaching, probably around my junior year, and it was specifically to college coaching. Um, and so I knew I had to still take 12 hours to graduate, and I was able to do like a student assistant position at LSU that following year. And I made that decision off of wanting to graduate, and also I wasn't really enjoying the travel side of tennis, professional tennis, being on my own, all those different things. I was never really settled in, and so I didn't at that time say I'm never playing again. It was more, all right, I'm going to go back, uh, help the team out, finish my degree, and then see what happens at that point, make a decision. And then ultimately Tulane had um, stopped their program after Hurricane Katrina, and they were starting it back up that following year. And Mark Boris, who was the assistant coach at LSU for Jeff Brown at the time, and was my coach there as well. When I was there, he ended up getting a head coaching job, which left the position open. So I was just in the right place at the right time, and I felt like it was too good to pass up.
Yeah, and I'm always fascinated. I've had a couple of guests that both played for played for the coach, and then they wound up joining them in the coaching ranks. And this happened with you too. How's that switch of having to play for a coach, and now you're not playing for him anymore? You're coaching with him. How's that dynamic?
I think we handled it pretty well. Jeff was he's a very he's a player's coach. He gave me a lot of ownership of the things, recruiting and those kind of things, which in a way I kind of think he's a little too nice, because I was so young, so raw, coach, from a coaching standpoint. But I really was motivated. I wanted to do well. I wanted to help people. I mean, that was my whole thing. I was like, I really felt fortunate for the experience I had at LSU. My, growing up around, a bunch of coaches and a lot of people I knew really sacrificed for me. That was like my whole deal. Like I want to give back. That's how I really fell in love with coaching. So I think the guys on the team knew that too. And obviously there was a boundary, that had to, come into place once I, was the assistant. But
you're not that much older than some of your upperclassmen.
I think I was actually younger than some of them. Just because I started so early. And I mean, that first year of student assistant, I was coaching, a lot of guys I was on the team with for 2-3 years. So, I think the main thing is, yeah,
that's interesting.
I think the main thing is that there was a respect, like that they knew that I wanted to help, and I was willing to do what it took, whatever needed to be done to give them what they needed to be successful. And it went pretty smoothly, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, it happens in all different types of industries, right? You're a colleague with someone, and then one of them gets promoted, and you wind up working for that someone, and
Mm-hmm.
it happens all the time. But like you said, once the kids understood that you were out there trying to help them, hopefully it went pretty quickly, and then you guys just took off from there.
Yeah, I actually think, in a way, looking back, I had a little bit more of an issue once I was working with the new guys that didn't know me as a player. And I think it's because I was a little bit too intense with them at first, just inexperienced, not empathetic enough. And with the other guys, I approached it so much differently, because I, I was aware of the situation, that if I
And you
come at
already
them
had a
too strong.
relationship. You had a relationship
Yes.
with those guys.
Yes, I actually found that pretty easy. It was the next group, and then I had to learn more from that, on creating that relationship, the trust, and building on that.
Understood. I mean, yeah, you had great success. I think you were at one point, you were Southern Region Assistant Coach of the Year. You worked with 10 ITA All-Americans, 14 All-SEC performers, and 1 SEC Player of the Year, including some very good pros on the Pro Tour right now, and that's Michael Venus, one of the best doubles players in the world. Also Neil Skupski, also top doubles player in the world. I mean, did you see in working with them that those two had what it takes to really be successful at that next level?
I think it was difficult for me at that time, because I hadn't really seen someone who was a peer get to that level. And so, looking, just seeing the progress of, they were really successful in both different ways. Mike was a really good junior singles player. He went to Texas. He was really good there. He was playing number 6 for him, but I think they got to the Final Four. I mean, he was a very good 6. But he ends up coming to LSU. He ends up being number 1 in the country, maybe 2 years later. And so he's always really good. And doubles, he's not a natural doubles player. He's really a power player. He's got a massive forehand, massive serve, and he's learned to volley well. And he's kind of found a niche, like his niche in doubles. It's not the talented guy. And so I'm not surprised that he's there now, I guess, and especially knowing what I know now. But at that time, I wasn't sure that he was that good. But I think it's hard when you really haven't seen someone you grew up and really know the level and the stages. Now I see it through these different guys that have ultimately made it to that level. Neil, once Mike, Ken Skupski was a teammate of mine for 4 years, and he ended up, he's top 50 in the world right now in doubles, and so he made it top 100 in doubles, way before these guys did. And so at that point, I kind of knew what the level was, somewhat. And so with Neil, I always kind of thought, he's so talented. It was unbelievable. It was the opposite of Mike, where you just kind of knew, especially after I'd seen that Ken, what Ken was able to do. I had a really good feeling about, Neil's future in doubles.
Understood. So with that success that you had, head coaching opportunities were going to most likely come your way, which they did. And we'll kind of tie all this together because not only you from LSU come to the state of Kansas, we have another person at LSU that is currently in the state of Kansas as the assistant at the University of Kansas, also a good friend of yours, Megan Falcon, right?
Yeah. So yeah, Megan's in Kansas. I actually haven't seen her since she's been here, but I sent her a message once I saw she took the job, and I'm happy for her. Megan, as you know, Megan was a tremendous player, amazing. I mean, did she get to I think she got to the Final Four of the semifinals of the NCAAs in singles. Is that correct?
Yes, I think one of the years got to the semis. Yeah,
she's so good, and someone I enjoyed being with at LSU, and she's a funny girl.
Yeah, no, she's great. So yeah, both people from LSU wind up in the state of Kansas. Her at the University of Kansas, you taking the head coaching job for the guys at Wichita State. Talk about how that opportunity came up.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I was assistant coach at LSU for 8 years, and I had aspirations of being a head coach. It was just really tough for so long. I didn't even really look. I wasn't even thinking about ever leaving LSU. Obviously alma mater. I was enjoying it. Jeff was someone that I really enjoyed working for. Gave me a lot of ownership of the program. And my wife, she was a gymnast at LSU, and she got into academic advising in the academic center at LSU, and so she was working with the gymnastics team. That was her deal. So she was still active in that team and program, and so it was something. We were both in a great spot, but I at that point, I just was wanting to take the next step, and ultimately I ended up getting in touch with Drew Eberly, who we both know. He reached out to me and is really good friends with Colin Foster, who I knew but I didn't know real well, and he was just kind of trying to get some names on people who would be interested in it. And I said, yeah, I'll look at it. And then I started. And at the time, I honestly wasn't that excited about it, but I kept looking into it more and more, and the more I found out, the more I was excited. And then I came on my interview here, and I was like, couldn't believe it, like how much I felt like it was a great fit for our family, and I felt like it was a place that we could do really well.
Got it. Shout out Drew Eberly, also been on this podcast before, so go check out my episode with Drew. Drew's a really, really good and funny guy. So yeah, I mean, you're doing great work there. You're having success. Your top doubles team reached the NCAA quarters, earned All-American status. Your team also had a great top 30 win over Dartmouth, just among a few of the accomplishments. What are you looking at moving forward? Obviously, whatever we get with this new normal coming back, where are you looking at moving this program forward? Like, talk the future of this team.
Yeah, we're really excited about where we're at right now. The first 4 years here, we have reached at some point in the year top 50 in the country. So that was really one of the first things we wanted to do, is to get to where we're in that range consistently, and we've been able to do that. And this past year, with COVID, we were gonna, before COVID, we were gonna lose the two All-Americans, Mirko Deli and Amarius Froza, as well as Ilya Lago, who played 2-3 for us this past year. But now they're all coming back, and we finished this last year 12-5. We had a win over Arkansas. We lost to Tennessee, who finished the year number 12. We lost them 4-3, 7-6 in the third, 8-6, and so we weren't bad. We were pretty good. And this following year, this upcoming year, we have the whole team, the top 6 coming back, and then we have A player who was redshirting this past year, who is from Chile, and he was a 14.15 UTR before he got here. So he's someone who's going to be able to play, the top part of the lineup for us. And we just signed a kid from Austria, Luka Mercic, was a 13.71 UTR. So we're optimistic, moving forward. We're excited. The guys are really excited on the team. A lot of the guys that Merkel and Marius are the two of, my first year. I brought in 3 guys and they're 2 of them, and they've kind of been on this ride. And I think, I know they believe now that we can, take the program to a new level, and they're able to pass that on to the other guys, and everyone's buying in. And so we're excited about this upcoming year.
Awesome. You got a lot of things to look forward to, it sounds like, and you're doing a great job. It's awesome hearing your story. And with everything that we're going on, with everything that we're going in right now, we take it day by day. We don't take anything for granted. Like you said yourself, tell your team, love each a day that you get to play tennis, because this is a bizarre time, and hopefully we'll get back to some more normal, whatever that means going forward, circumstances going forward. So with that, Coach, thank you. I know you're busy, and I know you're itching to get back on the courts with everybody. So I appreciate your time, and best of luck in this next academic year.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to you later.
Bye.